If you're watching this video, I'm pretty sure you're suffering from having scattered information. Let me guess, you take meeting notes on your tablet, you write down thoughts that come to mind on your phone. Sometimes while on a call, you write down some tasks to do after on a blank sheet of paper, in a notebook, or type it into your task manager. The end result is always the same though, scattered information all over the place. And worst of all, you have no idea where to find it later on. All this causes you dreadful uncertainty, frustration and stress. Believe me, I know how not finding your information can drive you absolutely nuts. Don't worry though, you've come to the right place. The solution to your scattered information problem is found in our ICOR framework. To be precise, it's solved by implementing ICOR's first two stages, input and control. Now, if you're looking at your screen and you have no idea what ICOR is, I highly recommend that you watch our previous video. In it, I show you how to manage your information and tasks from scratch. That video explains the basics of ICOR, and I will put the link in the description below. But before we dive into ICOR's first two stages, I need you to understand a simple concept. It's called a single source of truth. A single source of truth is the final destination of your information, a place you know without question where you've left your information, with the sole purpose of being able to easily go back and recover it so that you can leverage it later. Let me explain by sharing something personal with you. When I was a kid, I learned something quite early on. I learned that if I always stored the same object in the same place, I never lost it. I learned this because the few times I did lose it, usually also the only time my mom asked me for it, was because I'd put it in the wrong place. If I had just stored it in the same place it always goes, I'd not be getting in trouble for holding up the whole family, right? I'd simply be able to go to the place I always put it in, and it would be there, waiting for me. So now, think of the information you capture like it's an object you'll need to find later on, and follow the exact same approach. Now this may seem obvious to you, but it's something so many people do wrong when they create their single source of truth. They try to have one single source of truth for absolutely everything. That's like removing all the shelves in your closet and throwing every item you own onto a clothing pile and shutting the door. You'll know your shoes are in there somewhere, but you'll be damned if you think you'll find a pair of them in that mess. That's for sure. Having one single source of truth for absolutely every piece of information you capture creates the same kind of chaos. Because just like your shoe cupboard is built only for shoes, every app has been developed with a clear and defined purpose. When developers code an app, they usually do so to try and solve a very specific and concrete problem. That means that if you're obsessed with only having one app and you're trying to shove all your information in there, you're effectively using the wrong app. You're trying to force it to do something it was never intended to do well in the first place. In fact, an all-in-one, one app for all is simply impossible to create. You thinking there is one is a one-way ticket to feeling anxious, stressed and frustrated. We are all simply too unique, and so are our processes. So why don't we take a different approach then? Think of it this way. What's the problem with having to look in multiple places to find something? The goal is to find it, not to only have one place to look, right? Why is it that when you're watching TV, you know to look for a sports channel if you want to watch sports, the document channel if you want to watch documentaries, and the Disney Channel if your kids want to watch cartoons? You don't suffer any friction at all with that process, right? So why is this? Because it's intuitive. Then, doesn't it make sense to apply the same approach to your single source of truth? You store all your reminders in a reminders app. You store all your events in a calendar app. You store all your tasks in a task management app. So on and so forth. To make things easier, when you capture each piece of information, ask yourself this question. What type of information is this? Where would I intuitively look for this information whenever I want to recall it? Save this rule in your mind. Think of your future self. How would you think when your future self tries to recover a piece of stored information? You can write this down or screenshot this and frame it. The kinder you are to your future self, the better your life will be. Now that you've faced the concept of a single source of truth correctly, let's move on to ICOR's first two stages, input and control. As you'll see now, everything becomes pretty straightforward. ICOR's first stage is input. Input's main goal is moving information from the outside world into your world. This stage focuses on what we've just covered. Ask yourself these three questions. What type of information is this? Where should I store it to retrieve it just using my intuition? How do I take care of my future self? By forcing on replying to these 3 questions, you will pause, think and act. Do it when you capture something, and in no time it will become a habit you'll execute on autopilot. Autopilot means efficiency. Autopilot means high performance. Autopilot is what you're looking for. Now let's move on to stage 2, control. Sometimes you're in a rush, or your single source of truth is not quite clear, because life's full of gray areas. Everything isn't just black or white. In that case, store the information in a well-defined inbox so you can process the information later on. The goal of ICOR's control stage is to decide what you do with the information you've captured. Control gives you exactly that, control over your information. It's the step that provides you with the pause you need to think about what to do with your captured information. Maybe that information produces several actions. Maybe that information is a combination of actions and thoughts. Maybe that information is something you need to dedicate more time to read more into it, understand it or reframe it. The point is that after the control stage, you will know exactly what to do with your information, and you'll know which single source of truth you'll need to store your information in. So start taking action with your scattered information. Take the time you need to decide and define your single sources of truth. Think of your future self when storing your captured information. Use your intuition when you store the information you capture. It's the crucial skill you tap into when retrieving it. Sometimes you might feel like your single source of truth is not clear enough. In that case, take a step back and think about how you can make it clearer. Create well-defined inboxes to process information later on. By simply following these recommendations, you will have information that will no longer be scattered. It will be where it has to be, because every piece of information intuitively ends up in its designated single source of truth. By doing that, your retrieval process becomes a piece of cake. If you'd like to learn more about ICOR's 4 stages, input, control, output and refine, then check out our free ICOR Kickstart course in the description below. And if you like this video, man, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, share it with your friends, and I'll catch you guys up next time with another video to help you to get more work done with better information management.